Hi everyone, this is Jackie, the campus librarian. So I wanted to follow up with you on what we talked about in class today and walk you through the assignment that Ms. Penson has assigned for you to do on Wednesday, this library assignment, since we didn't cover everything. So what you're going to see on page 1 is something that we talked about a little bit in class, which is thinking about your sample topic. Your sample topic isn't your thesis statement, it's just a question you might want to ask that you might want to research. So just think of it in that terms. As you begin your writing and you do some research, you're probably going to actually, after that point, going through those steps, that's when you're going to come up with your thesis statement. So in that space where you would write out your sample topic, you can go ahead and do that there. And then moving down to item number 2, listing your keywords, you're going to see where we kind of map that to actually concepts / keyword number 1. Those actually tie into one another. So that's what you can put in that first box as you're thinking about your topic. But really going back to what we talked about today in class, think about, really kind of what's your topic, what's the meat of your topic, what's the thing that you want your audience to know about, what do you want to know about? Think of maybe who's impacted. Think about, why is this particular issue happening? Why is this, why is this meaningful? And that ties in, of course, into your so what, which is, of course, the big thing. This concept list that we have you go through, it's really just trying to get you to think through, well, what are some other pieces of language that you can use? So, for example, as you can see, if we're looking at how teenagers are impacted by technology, well, you can say the phrase teenagers alone in many different ways, and this can impact your research. You can, of course, say adolescents. You can say high schoolers, as opposed to middle schoolers. It can help you narrow down what is the population, who is that population you're really looking at. This is a fairly short paper, so that kind of focus can be very helpful. And then also looking at the phrase impact. Impact can be tough. We're often looking for impact, but that's just where you really might want to ask those how type questions. Is that impact in this case? Is it on somebody's relationships, for example? Is it a social thing? Is it something about safety? Cyberbullying comes up often. All those sorts of things. Is there something cognitive, developmental in the very brain that is affected by technology? Those are questions that we've seen asked. And then finally, really kind of looking, just like teenagers, well, technology can be a lot of different things. Technology can be anything from your smartphone to social media to just computers and the internet. And then when you're looking at social media, of course, it could become even more specific. Your question could be really the impact of Facebook usage on teenagers and learning, for example, is where you may end up working with this research. So moving on to page 2, that's one thing we didn't cover in class today, and we'll cover that in this quick tutorial, and then we'll take a break and do a second tutorial. But you'll go to the same place. You'll go to library databases, and we'll click on top library databases again, like we did in class. But we're going to scroll down a little bit further, and the 2 resources we are going to cover are Credo Reference and Gale Virtual Reference Library. These are just, expansive encyclopedias that help give you background on your topic. Unlike Wikipedia, Wikipedia I do think is a pretty good resource, but it's inconsistent, and I'm sure you've seen that as well in your research. Sometimes you'll see a short entry, sometimes you'll see a long one, sometimes you'll see entries that have a lot of citations. You can tell that a lot of work has been put into building this entry. In other cases, not so much. There's the pros and cons of being a public resource that everybody can edit. When you use Credo or Gale, they are encyclopedias as well, but you can kind of get away from that fear factor, I guess, of Wikipedia. You can trust that anything that you find in here is going to be of high quality. So I'll start with Credo Reference. Credo Reference is again, you can see I already typed in teenagers and technology as a search term, but it's a resource that's, again, can be quite expansive. You can just do a basic search. If you want to look specifically for a topic, like that your topic is really perhaps on, high schoolers and their learning, you can certainly do that, high school and education, or just education in general. If you want to search for just images, that can be kind of a neat search as well. And you can also focus in by subject. Sometimes when a discipline crosses multiple fields, and education is definitely one of those, you can see there is a direct tab for education, but if you're looking, say, like at the topic we talked about today, early childhood education and outdoor learning, that does have an impact, as we discussed. Like it could be a health and medicine issue, for example, with children. That could be, in addition, it could be something to do more with, child psychology. So it's just something to keep in mind. Starting with a basic search, that was always a great way to go. So I typed in teenagers and technology, but let's say I specifically want to look at teenagers. And let's do social media. Let's see if doing something more specific changes things. So we received about 298 results on teenagers and social media. If I wanted to, this is all results. If I wanted to look and see if there was just images, I could simply do that. I could see if there's a topic page. Topic pages can be great overviews. In this case, there isn't any, so that answers that question. But I would always suggest trying that out depending on your topic. The other thing that you can do is browse a little bit further under subject. So, we typed in teenagers and social media. If at this point you want to narrow down and say, well, actually I'm really interested in teenagers and social media, but I'm really more interested in, say, how does this impact health? You could click that. That would take us from those 298 articles down to 48. So something to keep in mind. It all depends on your subject, so it's something for you to consider. The other thing you can do is narrow by date. So if you really, social media is a pretty new topic, so you're not going to go that far back in time. But say you were looking at a topic that could go back 20 years and you wanted to focus on the last few years, using date would be a great advantage. And length just changes the length of the article that you receive. So just some features for you to keep in mind. So I like to browse through, some media stereotypes. We didn't even think about that. That's the kind of a fun thing with research. You can find things that you didn't necessarily think of. So that might be looking at how are young people, teenagers, and you can see right here, they look at both boys and girls, affected by media stereotypes. That can be a huge thing. In fact, let's go ahead and click on this one. So our topic will come up, and so we can browse through that, but I want you to, as you look at your assignment again, your handout, on page 2, question number 3, we're asking you to find an article entry title, the book that it came from, and the date it was written. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. One is, I'll just point out to you what we're looking at here. Media stereotypes is the actual title of this entry. And this came, as you can see, from the Encyclopedia of Women and Gender, Sex Similarities and Differences, and the Impact of Society. So that's the book title that it came from. We're not really seeing a date right away, so I'm going to show you another quick trick. And that is, if we scroll back to the top, we have similar features where, again, you can listen to this if you'd like. You can print it, email it to yourself. The quotes here, this is actually your citation tool. So if we click there and choose MLA, you can see here is our article. Here's the authors. Here's the article title in quotes, in italics, the title of the book. And then we can see this was written in 2001. So it's a little bit older. That's kind of interesting. It still might be useful, but it is a little bit older. This date that you see down here, this is the date it was accessed. So that's today, of course, not the date it was written. So as you browse through this, you might find that you're really interested in maybe specifically, the internet and women, body image in women, violence. Somebody was talking about doing rape culture. This might be something that comes up. But as you browse through here, this is really some of those ideas that you'll be able to think about, and think about different terms that you may want to use in your paper. Going back to our search results, of course, there's a lot more to look at here. And well, here's a really an idea of media and teen sexual behavior in the Psych 101 series. That might be another example of something that is exactly what you might be looking for, because it's really looking at its impact on a certain behavior caused by the media. So definitely browse through and look through these. The other thing actually that you can do, you can go to this database on its own, but you can also link to it directly from here. It doesn't work that well, and that's the other resource we talk about for question number 3, which is other background resources. And Gale Virtual Reference Library is a great resource. It really covers a lot of different things. So it repopulated our search, teenagers and social media, with a click of a button. We're actually in a different database. If you wanted to change that, because this is not getting what you wanted, say we wanted to focus specifically on, I don't know, Facebook. Oh, but see, this is something that it also starts breaking down for you, saying, well, do you mean teenagers and adults, or do you mean teenagers and young adults? Do you mean young teenagers? Do you mean older teenagers? So it's something to think about. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Facebook, a more specific technology, right? And we have about 29 results here. You can see on the right-hand side here that there's a topic overview, there's some viewpoint essays. We even have some case studies. But as you browse through here, we might find some great changes in what we discover. So we're getting really specific. We're talking about teenagers and certain technologies like online learning. We're looking at how consumer culture has changed in response. We've looked at things like sexting and those sorts of ideas. Education can help prevent cyberbullying. In this case, saying social media, in this case in South Korea, promotes education. And this could be very valuable to look at. I know it's not happening in the United States, but is there some research that's being done in South Korea that could be used and adopted here? Something to keep in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and look at this one. And again, to help you complete the assignment, so the title of the article is Teen Spending Habits Have Changed, and Consumer Culture. This is actually the citation here. The book is Consumer Culture. You could also highlight that the book is from Issues That Concern You. That's a series, and it's from 2011. And it looks specifically at some of these particular issues. Again, you can print, email, download all of that. So that's just to get you through page 2. I have another quick video to get you through the next couple pages.